So we're just going to waste probably about a minute or two. If you want to get on your Facebook and get on the Fox19 Facebook page and share it real quick. Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right.
Yeah, wow. That's funny that I'm watching you.
Are you watching yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so we are with tech expert Dave Hatter, and we are going to talk about the Yahoo hack that happened today. Do you want to give us a brief on that?
Yeah, so the gist is, apparently back in 2014, Yahoo was hacked. The news has really just broken over the last day or so, and it looks like at least 500 million accounts were stolen. So it's the largest known hack to date. It's a pretty huge problem, really, because they got usernames, they got passwords, although Yahoo claims they're hashed. They got security information, like the security questions you might get asked if you forget your password, and apparently all kinds of other information.
Yeah.
So it's a huge problem.
Okay. Let's go walk over there real quick. So it's a little loud over here. So are people's data at risk right now?
Well, certainly for the information that was stolen that's known, yes. Part of the problem with this really is hackers, they've had this information for a long time now, as much as 2 years perhaps. And hackers increasingly are less interested in things like stealing your credit card, because banks have really advanced fraud protection, and it's much more difficult to use a credit card for any length of time than it is to steal information you can use for identity theft. So hackers are typically looking for something they call fulls, F-U-L-L-Z. Fully loaded records of information about folks that in many cases have been aggregated from all kinds of different sources. If they can get a score like this, let's say this Yahoo score, in and of itself, it's got a lot of valuable information. But then they also know that many people will use the same username and password on multiple sites. Okay? If they can get your password, or perhaps you've used the same security question on multiple sites, so they can hack into these other sites and either perpetrate some kind of fraud straight up, or continue to build information about you that they can sell or try to use for identity theft. I mean, it could be something as simple as they eventually collect enough information about you to break into your Starbucks account and steal the money that you have on your Starbucks coffee card. There's all kinds of different ways this information can be collated and used. And with the sheer volume of this and the fact that they've had it for so long, it's a major problem.
So the initial threat might not be getting in your email account and getting on those Groupon ads. It's possibly getting those passwords, security questions, and getting into stuff maybe more serious like your bank account.
Well, that's exactly right. So far, and one of the things you typically find with these hacks, again, this is the biggest known hack so far. But a lot of times you find with these hacks, as time wears on and more investigation and discovery is done, they learn additional things. So far, Yahoo has said, and the FBI is investigating this as well, Yahoo has claimed they believe this is some kind of state-sponsored hack attack.
And what does that mean?
Well, usually when you hear that, it means there's some kind of foreign government behind it, or at least they suspect that. The hacker who has been selling this information on the dark web that goes by the moniker Peace, he has also been tied to the MySpace hack and the LinkedIn hack several years ago. So, you know, this particular individual or group, I don't know what it is at this point, has been tied into some pretty major hacks. You're talking hundreds of millions of records even before this Yahoo thing. But again, they're saying state-sponsored, and to kind of go back where I started, once they start to investigate, they will often find additional things. So Yahoo has claimed so far, you got usernames, you got passwords, you got encrypted email addresses, you got security information which may or may not be encrypted. Again, there's kind of questions like, what's your mother's maiden name? They claim that no bank information, credit cards, and other stuff like that you may have in Yahoo has been hacked. They claim that none of their other brands like Tumblr have been breached. But again, it's probably too early to tell because this just came to light. And as they dig into it more, you'll often find more and more information comes out.
So with state-sponsored attacks, I mean, are we Russian, Chinese? Why do they want my email?
Well,
I mean, we're not for sure if it is,
that's
but
true.
Yeah.
And I would say that's a good question. I don't know, other than to just cause chaos and havoc. I don't know what Russia or China could get out of this, unless it's truly not state-sponsored and it's more like mafia-sponsored. You know, there are well-known cyber criminal gangs throughout the world, and these kind of hacks can be very lucrative. Whether, again, they try to impersonate you through information they have about you and create an account and get your tax refund. This has happened in the past. Or they try to steal money from you through some other way that will be more difficult to trace. It could be as simple as they just want to sell your records. They go on the dark web and they sell these records. Protected health information, PHI, is now worth as much as 10 times as much for one record as one credit card number, because the healthcare system tends to collect a lot of information that can be used for all kinds of different identity theft and fraud. And again, they don't have the kind of advanced protection that banks and financial companies have to detect these things and turn it off. Probably anyone that's watching this right now, either themselves or knows someone that has had their credit card turned off and got a new card because of some kind of fraud detection. So hackers have, to some extent, given up on the financial system, and they're going after softer targets where they can make bigger scores and potentially make the score go for a much longer period of time before it gets detected. So it's hard to say what they will do this. My guess is it's probably not state-sponsored. I can't really understand what Russia would do with this unless they just want to cause trouble.
So continue.
But I can see how a criminal gang, thieves, want this information because it's very valuable to them.
So it's 500 million accounts. That's a lot of people, or 500 million, right?
I mean, think about that, 500 million people.
How many people have a Yahoo account?
Well,
or how many accounts are there?
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that Yahoo has released a total number of accounts. Yahoo's been around for a long time. Obviously, it doesn't have the same sort of... it's not as popular as it once was or as popular as Google, but the mere fact that you got 500 million, 500 million people's accounts hacked is pretty substantial. And again, we may find out it's more than that. You will often find when LinkedIn was hacked in the not-too-distant past, the original numbers they put out were substantially smaller than what they eventually discovered as they dug into it more. And then the other risk here, too, is Yahoo so far has not, as far as I know up to this point, has not confirmed that this hack isn't still continuing somehow.
And if anyone in the comments have any questions, shoot it our way. But one thing people are asking is, should they delete their Yahoo account?
Well, I don't know if I would necessarily delete it. I guess my answer to that really would be how much value are you getting out of it. If you're still using Yahoo for some legitimate purpose and you see value in it, I don't know that I would necessarily delete it, but I would definitely immediately go in and change the password, change any kind of security information that you use with that account. Again, mother's maiden name, favorite movie, those kind of things you can use to retrieve your username and password if you lose it. I would look for any kind of suspicious activity. And again, I would strongly encourage people, you should never use the same username and password on multiple sites. This is a prime example of that, because if they can get it for this site, they can try to use it elsewhere and break into something potentially much more immediately damaging to you, like your bank. If you happen to be using the same username and password for your bank, there would be nothing to stop someone from logging in and literally transferring all the money out of your account. So it's very bad to use the same username and password. You should be looking for suspicious activity on other accounts as well. And as painful as it is, I know people hate to hear this. I know they don't want to do it. I don't want to do it either. But change your password to ensure that no other accounts can be breached as a result of this attack.
And you said this was either one of or the largest hack we've had?
It's certainly one of, and to date, as far as I know, this is the largest known hack. And I say known because, again, this has gone on for 2 years. We can't be sure that there's not another one underway right now that would be larger than this. If I recall correctly, I think the LinkedIn hack ended up being something like 300 million records. So this is substantially larger.
So why did it take 2 years for Yahoo or anybody to figure this out?
That is a very good question. Unfortunately, in many cases, especially when you're talking about systems of this scale, and depending on how the hack was perpetrated, there's been no information I've seen so far released about how this was done. In many cases, these things are very difficult to track down. If you think back to the Target hack a few years ago, there was I think it was an HVAC contractor that was doing work at Target, and they had to have access to some systems there, and someone eventually used their access and some point-of-sale malware to hack into their system. So in many cases, the way they're doing this, it could be an inside job. It could be an inside job to the extent that someone used legitimate credentials they got from a contractor or something. It's really hard to say, but in many cases, these things are very sneaky, very crafty, and extremely difficult to detect, which is why they're able to go on for so long, and that's really where a lot of the damage comes in.
And Evan is asking, do we know if YouTube is going to send us information if they know if our account was hit?
So far, Yahoo has said that they will notify any accounts that have been breached. So you should expect information from them, and that reminds me of something else that's really important. A lot of times, unrelated hackers will use these kind of attempts or these kind of hacks to then send out phishing-related emails. So you may or may not have anything to do with this breach, but you'll get hit with an email that's suggesting that, oh, wait, you've been hit with this breach, click here, you need to do this, that, or the other. So if you do receive any kind of communication that purports to be from Yahoo, it's very important that you don't just automatically act on it and you confirm that it really came from Yahoo, because it could very well be a phishing attempt attempting to steal information from you under the guise of protecting you from this hack. It happens all the time with these kind of things. Unfortunately, bad people take advantage of this.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you chatting with us today.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.